Welcome to the Haven Collective. I'm JR, and this is the Beacon Bit. Today we are reflecting on 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It's almost February, which means we're almost to Valentine's Day. The season of love is upon us. And that, of course, means rom-com movies. It means hearts everywhere. It means candy. And I think all of that is super fun. But I think we also have better depictions of love in our culture. For instance, the love that inspires revolutionaries to make real change in the culture, or the love that drives someone to even give up their life for a cause. Even the love that we see when we see an old couple who's been together for, decades and decades, holding hands or sitting together in a cafe or something like that. It's so easy, I think particularly in our day and time, to reduce love to sentiment. Instead of seeing love as a commitment, as an orientation towards the well-being of another person. That brings us to the reading for today, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 1 through 13, which I know everyone knows, right? It's the wedding verses. Nearly all of us, I think, the first time we ever heard 1 Corinthians 13 was probably at a wedding. You may have even used it in your own wedding. I was in college studying the Bible specifically, like as a student of the Bible, training to be a pastor, when I first realized that 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is not about marital love. It's set in the context of Paul's larger discussion about spiritual gifts in the church. And he has just finished in chapter 12 in his big conversation about spiritual gifts that we've spent the last couple of weeks looking at, by talking about love as the greatest gift, and then he goes on to talk about love specifically. So this is not a love that exists only between romantic partners. This is a love that any person who is part of the church should be expressing towards any other person. This is a love that we receive from God and pass on to others. And I'm telling you, the first time I had that realization, it was a revelation to me. It completely blew my mind because it had never been taught to me that way before, right? Love was not something that we showed to one another. It was something that was reserved for romantic partners. And yet Paul, again, has this radical idea that love is something that should exist between all people in a community and be directed from people who love Jesus towards everyone else that we encounter. Love isn't just for my significant other. Love is for everyone. It's for all people. It's the beginning of friendship. In many ways, it's the beginning of hope. So it's easy for us to look at the world around us to see the divisions that we have that are very real, right? And yet what Paul says is that love enables us to unite. Love enables us to overcome all of those divisions because love is something that we receive from God. It's something that Jesus gives to us by laying down his own life for us. He opens up the way for us to receive this impossible others-oriented love and then become part of practicing that together. So what we're going to do in our beacons this week is review the various qualities of love that Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians 13. You can even do it before you get to the beacon if you want. And what I want to ask is, which of these resonate with you? Which of them confuse you? Which of them challenge you, right? Where do you find it easy to love? Where do you find it challenging to love? And where have you considered these things maybe not to have been a part of love? Love is something that we can practice. It's something that we can get better and better at. And as Paul says, it's one of the things that remains forever. After every other spiritual gift has passed away, after all of those other things that we put our hope and our affections in have gone by the wayside, the way we love remains. And it's something that's worth pursuing because of that. So I cannot wait for these conversations. I hope that you have a great week. And until I see you on Sunday in our Beacon gatherings, grace and peace be with you.